If you've ever looked at the scale and thought, how am I back here again? This podcast is for you. If you've ever had a stretch where you felt locked in, you were doing what you were told, you dropped weight for a few weeks, and then watched it come right back, and somehow it started to feel like that meant something about you, I want to say this early. Before we go any further, you are not alone and you are not crazy. My name is Dr. Samuel. I'm an obesity medicine physician. I've trained in family medicine and I've worked across the full loop residency, primary care, as a hospitalist. That matters because you see people in the hospital where the consequences of metabolic disease or obesity finally get loud. Then you see the same people later in clinic trying to rebuild their health when life is still life work, family, stress, poor sleep, a busy schedule, and a body that doesn't respond the way they thought it should. A lot of my education didn't come from textbooks. It came from my patients, my family, my friends. It came from people being honest. The "I don't know why I do this" moments, the "I do great all day and then fall apart at night" moments, the patterns people notice but feel ashamed to say out loud. Over time, I realized those patterns aren't random. They're not character flaws, they are signals. And I want to say something else clearly because I think it builds trust. Even as a doctor, I live parts of this myself. I work out every morning. I've been consistent with training for a long time. And for years, even with that, I still dealt with what we call the food noise. That constant mental chatter around food, thinking about it more than you want to, feeling pulled toward it even when you're not truly hungry. The bargaining, the negotiation, the "I'll start tomorrow" loop. My pattern used to be simple. I'd be disciplined all day. I'll keep things very tight. I'd eat lighter, delay meals, tell myself I was being productive, being strong, being controlled, and then at the end of the day, I would be tired. I told myself I've handled a lot of responsibilities, a lot of work, and I hear that one sentence in my head that sounded reasonable in that moment. I deserve this food. For me, that became an excuse not to enjoy food in a calm, intentional way, but to eat it in a way I already knew wasn't helping me. And it was predictable. Restrict all day, overeat dinner, or maybe snack afterwards, feel heavy, tell myself tomorrow will be different, and then repeat the same cycle. What made it worse was a social message most of us absorb without realizing it. Eat less, intermittent fasting, push through harder, try harder, be stricter, and then act surprised when your body gets louder at night and your brain reaches for relief. That cycle doesn't mean you're weak. It usually means you're depleted. Then something shifted for me in a way I didn't expect. It wasn't a new diet. It wasn't a new supplement. It wasn't a new workout plan. It was after having my son Adam. He's a year and a half. And watching him change the way I understood the entire conversation around food. A baby doesn't restrict all day and collapse at night. He wakes up and he eats, he drinks, he eats again, he drinks again. It's not dramatic. It's not a moral debate. It's routine. It's rhythm. His body expects nourishment, so his nervous system can stay calmer. His appetite cues make sense. He doesn't spend all day fighting himself. And I remember thinking, we are the ones who made eating confusing. We are the ones who turn fuel into something you have to earn. And then we blame ourselves when the body pushes back. So I started experimenting with a different approach. Not snacking all day, not grazing mindlessly, not eating out of boredom. I mean eating with purpose and routine. feeding my body on time, earlier in the day, more predictably, enough protein to actually support my muscle, enough structure so my brain didn't feel like it needed to be rewarded at night. I did the same with fluids. I stopped waking up and waiting to feel thirsty. I stopped using coffee as my first solution. I started drinking consistently from the moment I woke up, like my son does. And I paid attention to how much hunger was really dehydration or fatigue. And here's what surprised me. When my body believed fuel was coming regularly, the food noise got quieter. When I wasn't bracing all day, I didn't need a nightly "I deserve it" release. My appetite became more reasonable, not because I forced it, but because the system wasn't trying to recover from restriction. That's when obesity medicine put language to what I was already seeing. Because it isn't just willpower. There are hormones that drive appetite. There are signals that get louder under stress, under sleep loss, under over restriction, under dehydration or chaotic routines or diets. There are reasons people feel like their hunger is proportional. There are reasons cravings show up when you're physically not hungry. There are reasons that the body hold on harder when life becomes unstable. And once you see that clearly, the old advice starts to sound incomplete. Just eat less sounds simple, but ignores what happens when someone restricts all day, then eats more at night, feels ashamed, repeats the same cycle. It ignores the nervous system, it ignores biology, it ignores real life and practicality. In my clinic, I started teaching something that I felt almost backwards to people at first. I tell them, we're going to stop spending all day trying to eat less. Instead, we're going to build stability around consistent eating and consistent drinking. Not constant grazing, consistent nourishment. Planned fuel, purposeful meals, hydration early and often, simple routines that the body can actually trust around your lifestyle. I explain it like this: food is not just something simple you can just avoid to lose weight. Food is a building material. It's how you build and protect muscle. And muscle matters because it supports the metabolism and long term function. You need food and liquids for your mental health. I'd also talk about the thermogenic effect of food. The fact that digestion itself costs energy and that higher protein structured eating can cause satiety and metabolic response. And I also include fluids in the conversation because dehydration and low mineral intake can masquerade as hunger, fatigue, cravings, and it quietly pushes people into the same late night cycle. A lot of my patients didn't believe me at first, and I understand why. People are used to being told they need more discipline, more restriction, more intensity, more punishment. So when you tell someone we're going to eat more regularly, it can sound like you're saying just eat more. That's not what I meant. What I mean is stop starving your system all day and then asking it to be calm at night. Stop treating nourishment like a reward. Start treating it like a structure. And what happened over the next couple months was the part I cared about the most. People broke plateaus that they have been stuck on for years. Not always overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. The energy improved, their sleep improved, their cravings softened, their mood got more stable, their relationship with food got less chaotic, and yes, weight changed, but even more importantly, life opened back up. I watched people who felt like they couldn't breathe all their life start moving more comfortably again. I watched people who avoided stairs start doing things they used to do, and even more than that. Not because they became perfect, but because their body finally had enough stability and nourishment to cooperate. So, this podcast is for the person who's tired of restarting, tired of feeling like nights erase days, tired of feeling like hunger is a personal failure, tired of feeling like you're losing a battle you didn't choose. This is the war within. It's not a war against your body, it's a war against confusion, shame, and noisy advice that doesn't match real human biology. We're going to talk about hormones and appetite in a simple language. We're going to talk about routines that can work in real life. We're going to talk about weight loss with or without medications, with or without exercise, because everyone can exercise right now, and not everyone is ready for that. And you still deserve a path forward. We'll build a foundation first with foods, fluids, rhythm, steadiness, and we'll make it more practical for everyday life. This is educational only, not personal medical advice. Always work with your own clinician for your specific situation, especially if you have medical conditions or take medications. But if you're here because you want clarity, steadiness, and a way out of this cycle, you're in the right place. Welcome to the War Within podcast. Let's begin.